welcome to the Prestin Sexton podcast. I'm Gabriel Sexton here with Mr. Preston DeVille. We're coming off a spring break, nice refreshed
brains. Didn't have an episode last week.
Didn't have an episode. We decided to give you guys spring break as well, so we wanted to reward you by our absence, addition by subtraction, if you will. So today we will be talking about a movie that we went and saw, 2 weeks ago?
Something like that.
Something along those lines. Maybe even, I suppose it might be three.
It 3?
Doesn't even feel like 3 at all. We went and saw The Batman on opening night with Robert Pattinson as the Batman, Zoe Kravitz as every man's dream, Catwoman, and Paul Dano as a real man's dream, as the Drippler. The Drippler.
And then don't forget Jeffrey Wright.
Jeffrey Wright as Jim Gordon. You had Colin Farrell as the Penguin.
And Andy Serkis.
Andy Serkis as Alfred. You had John Turturro as Carmine Falcone. I'm trying to think who else of note. I can't think of anyone else.
Barry Keoghan as unnamed Arkham prisoner.
Pretty sure.
No, it's the Joker.
It's the Joker. Derek, he's unnamed. I'm like, well, it doesn't take much to figure it out.
It's already leaked that he's the Joker.
Which was weird because leading up to that movie, he was like officer something. Like they hit him as the Joker. Because everyone thought he might be Robin. But he wasn't.
No, but we might know who's going to be Robin now.
It's going to be the kid from the... What was his name? The mayor running.
Yeah, the
something
mayor.
Don.
Yeah, something like that. I can't remember the mayor's name.
Don something. I don't remember.
I don't know. That's too much of a coincidence to me.
I'm with you. So, what did you think of the movie? What are your thoughts? Just some key takeaways.
I thought it was really good. Like,
out of 10, what would you say?
9.2.
It's pretty high.
Yeah, I'd give it about a 9.2. I thought the cinematography was good, the acting was good.
The soundtrack was amazing.
The soundtrack was good. I don't think it was amazing.
It was amazing.
But it was pretty good.
One thing I really liked about the movie is the fact that it's so dark. Like even as a movie, like you think of the Christian Bale, Christopher Nolan movies, they're kind of bright, whereas, you know what I mean? Like, they're set in daylight.
Yeah,
like,
I know what you mean. Like,
yeah, like they're like, they feel too bright to be a Batman movie, whereas the new Batman, I'm like, it's raining, it's always dark and cloudy.
It's like, the sun doesn't exist in this universe.
I'm like, where's Gotham set in? Washington, for Christ's sake? I'm like, there was never any sunshine.
No, it takes place in Superior, Wisconsin.
Yeah, folks, it's raining right now, and it's 32. I had to walk here, and I felt like Two-Face coming in because half my face froze.
When he means he had to walk in, he means from his truck to the building.
Yeah, it was...
Which is like 20 feet.
Why are you downplaying it, man? I'm a warrior. Tough through it. Tough man survives, Preston. But yes, this movie, if you haven't seen it in the last couple weeks...
What the frick are you doing?
Yeah, you need to go see it. It's so good. So good. The other thing is, like, it makes sense. Like, a lot of the themes are about political corruption, and I think we really live in a time where political corruption is...
No, what are you talking about?
I'm like, well, I'm dead. I'm dead. Bye-bye. I think it made sense. Like, a lot of the Christian... Like, a lot of... you watch, like, 2008 to about 2012 superhero movies, and they're all about, like, surveillance and, like, post-terrorism.
Now it's about government corruption.
It is. Tell me I'm wrong. Tell me it doesn't make sense.
I mean, when you look at it, that's kind of how superhero movies have been. Civil War. What were they afraid of? Government overstep and corruption. You got Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
That's just about the government being a dick.
Yeah, it's just about the government being the government.
I always thought the most realistic part of that was when he's like, I need to get a loan from the bank. And they're like, it says here you haven't done anything for the last 5 years. He's like,
sorry, I got dusted.
He's like, I got blipped. And they're like, yeah, me too. And they're like, so what do you do for a job? He's like, save the world. They're like, what kind of income does that
Remember
bring
when
in?
you got blipped? Yeah, you were just doing your bank job. I was fighting Thanos.
Yeah, it was just kind of funny. I was like, huh, okay, all right.
And then he turned around, he was like, but can I get a picture with you?
It's the most realistic part of the entire series was that whole sequence. I'm like, the bank would do that. I'm like, that is something the bank would do.
All right, let's get back on topic.
Yeah. So, is there like anything? What do you think was the coolest part about the movie? What'd you like the most?
The Batmobile. That whole scene where he's kind of chasing down the Joker
Or the Penguin.
Or the Penguin in the Batmobile.
Yeah.
Then Colin Farrell's like all happy. He's like,
I got you!
I got you! All of a sudden, you just see the freaking Batmobile jump through the fire, and he's just like, oh shit.
He's like, this guy's crazy! Yeah, I did like the Batmobile felt realistic.
Yeah.
Instead of like Batflick has a tank, and so does Christian Bale's Batman he drives a goddamn tank around. And then
And what does Pattinson drive around?
it's like a souped up Challenger. It's like a extremely souped up Challenger with like a jet engine tied on it, essentially.
Yeah.
But the sound it made when it started, like the whole theater was like rumbling and shaking.
It felt like the car was actually in the theater.
It was so cool. I will admit, this movie is just so cool. I don't know how else. I'm like, it's a good movie, but it's cool.
Then I'd have to say, like, the second coolest thing was the hallway scene, to where like you could see him beating the piss out of people, but it's like the muzzle fires lighting up the hallway
Right at the start. Yeah. They said that was all practical too. None of it was special effects. I thought that was cool because it was the same guy that did like the Rogue One.
Yeah. What's up with this guy making epic hallways?
It's Matt Reeves. Yeah, I'm like, it was cool because that is exactly how the Batman should be.
Yeah.
He should be kind of dark, kind of stealthy. And one thing I thought came across really well in this movie was the fact that this felt like a young Batman. You know?
Oh, yeah.
Like, this is year 2, he said?
I think year 2.
It's like, okay, like, he's definitely
So he's still a noob.
Yeah, like, he's definitely good at his job, but you can tell, like, oh, he's young.
Yeah,
sure.
Especially, like, it's more of like a detective movie, and he actually, like, makes mistakes.
Yeah. I'm
so
all
it's
for
kind of
it.
it's kind of like a realistic, like, year 2 Batman, where he's inexperienced and makes simple mistakes. Like, which one? Oh, yeah, the one with the penguin. La Rata.
Oh, El Rata Alada.
Yeah.
Even I was, not to toot my own horn, but I took years of Spanish. I'm like, that's not right. Because I was thinking, like, it should be La Rata Alada.
And then the penguin's like, do you not know Spanish?
He's like, that's the worst Spanish I ever heard. Outstanding Colin Farrell Eastern accent. But yeah, it's like a lot of the movie, like the clues are pretty cool too.
Yeah. Like, like how he sends the cards out. Like also kind of hint
to the Batman.
Future villains.
I think Hush is going to be the next villain.
I think he'll be one of the villains. I think there'll be multiple villains in this next one.
That's probably fair.
And then I 100% see, like, the Court of Owls being a villain.
Yeah, because they did mention they're like, well, it goes back farther than you know, or something like that.
And I'm like, that's probably the Court of Owls.
Yeah, and for those that don't know,
and I mean, to be honest, I think Matt Reeves has been quoted on saying that he wants to use like every villain in like the Batman Rogue Gallery. So like we'll probably get everyone at some point the next.
I don't want to see a retread of like, and I know they are. I mean, you kind of have to have the Joker because yin and yang, you know. But at the same time, I'm like, okay, I don't want to see Bane again. Even though I'm pretty sure at the end that was Venom. I'm sure of it.
I know. I was like, what? Like, he popped that, and I'm like, wait, is that Venom right there?
Like, for those that don't remember, it's the part at the end where he's going through the Riddler's Goonies, and he gets buckshot to the chest. And he's sitting there, and he pulls out this, green substance, green steroid, and he takes it, and he's...
Rages. And I just want to say one thing. Why the frick would you shoot him in the chest? Like, he had all the room in the world just to blow his head off.
It's a movie. Don't think about it so much. Like,
Vale was, like, down, and he aims at his chest. It's like, if you go like this, you're blowing his head off. Because it's a Batman movie, so his jaw is completely exposed.
Yeah. That part was always kind of disconcerting, is the fact that his jaw is completely exposed. Like, completely exposed.
Yeah, and it's like, he gets all these, like, shots fired at him throughout, like, all the movies. And just no one's like, oh, hey, let's just shoot for the exposed part of his face.
No one thought of it. He's definitely, like I said, he's young. And this, like, Christian Bale's Batman was pretty good in a hand-to-hand combat. And I feel like Batfleck had a lot of gadgets, but I don't know if he was that great of a fighter.
I don't like Batfleck, so...
He was better. I think he was at his best in the Snyder Cut Justice League, because he actually made sense there.
Well, I haven't seen it, so...
You have HBO Max.
It's 5 hours.
4. It's 4. What are you doing? What are you doing that's better than that?
Well, I could watch, like, 3 other movies in that 4-hour time frame.
Yeah, but will they be as good? Snyder Cut's great.
Bro, I don't want to watch the Snyder Cut. It's 5 hours. And
4! It's 4!
They're not going to build anything off of it.
It actually is much better than the original Justice League.
I haven't seen the original Justice League either, because I'm like, I'm not watching that garbage.
They're completely different movies. Like, I'm not even joking. I'm like, they are completely different movies.
It's like, I don't care. None of the, like, only, like, Wonder Woman's coming back with that actor. And Jason Momoa.
Yeah.
Everyone else they told to go F himself. Oh, and then The Flash.
Yeah, The Flash. He has his own movie. He's gonna see Keaton's Batman. I don't know if you saw that.
I did. They're just copying Marvel now.
Well, I disagree with that, because the way both the comics are set up, I'm like, well, that's just bound to happen. That they're gonna say, oh, and I guess even the multiverse has kind of been introduced in Marvel, but not
fully explored yet.
Like, oh, there's an infinite amount of universes, and I think that'll be dropped in.
I do like kind of like the way DC's going right now. Yes and no. It's
they're darker. They're going for darker.
They're making a lot of stupid decisions, like, oh, hey, let's tell Henry Cavill to F off.
That's dumb.
It's like, what are you doing? Batflick makes sense, because I don't like
You didn't like Batflick?
I don't like Ben Affleck Batman, and just period.
He wasn't bad.
I don't think he's Batman. Like, you read the comics, and then you go to Batflick, and they're like complete opposites.
He was, I will say, he was much better in Snyder Cut.
He was freaking killing people.
Yeah, it's not a traditional Batman for sure, but I definitely think he worked the best in Snyder Cut.
But it's like, they kept Wonder Woman, or Gal Gadot as Wonder Woman, which is...
She's okay. She's a little lifeless for my taste.
But she's fine. She looks the part, at least.
Yeah. I'm curious if they'll bring Pattinson as
But one thing I don't
Justice
like, it's
League.
like, I think they're bringing Batgirl in, but not Batman, and it's like, what?
That was on the CW, my classic CW shenanigans.
I'm not.
I think they canceled that.
I'm not talking about the CW.
You don't like the CW?
No, it's just, it's a shitty TV show. It's basically what they are.
I didn't mind the first couple seasons of The Flash. I got through about 7 episodes of the newest season, and I'm like, this looks like PlayStation 2 graphics, and I quit.
Like,
I couldn't watch it.
I've seen like clips of Superman and Lois, and I'm like, that looks like terrible. That doesn't look like a.
Well, you haven't watched it. You haven't watched it. You can't judge. You can't judge from afar.
I don't plan on it.
Fair enough. So, I mean, let's get into a second part of the podcast here because we're kind of getting off topic. If you were to rank live-action Batmans in the movies out of what goes Adam West, then it goes Keaton, Kilmer, Clooney, Bale, Pattinson.
Well, the last spot is George Clooney.
Yeah, he's pretty terrible.
And then it's Kilmer.
Yep. This is where it gets tough.
Then I got Affleck.
Oh, I forgot about Affleck, yeah. That's 7, right?
Yep. And then I got...
I think you gotta go West.
Yeah, go Adam West. I like Adam West.
He's a good, middle proxy of, well, wouldn't be considered a normal Batman because it's so goofy.
Yeah,
very
it's
60s.
Kind of like the Golden or the Silver Age, or I can't remember which one it is exactly. Where you couldn't depict violence, you couldn't depict the villain winning. So of course it's gonna be all goofy and stuff.
Yeah, right.
And I mean, it kind of has its own little charm because it's really the only one like that.
Yeah.
So I have him over Affleck. I know Batfleck stands will be, but I don't care. Shut up.
I don't mind him. I don't mind
your
him.
opinion doesn't matter.
I think West. Does Will Arnett get a?
He's
spot?
Not live action.
Oh, so. I suppose you're right. Yeah, but he is a great Batman. I will admit he is great.
And then I got I'll go. Who do I have left? Pattinson, Bale, and what's his nuts?
Keaton. Michael Keaton.
And then I'm going Bale, Pattinson, Keaton.
You think Keaton's the best?
Still, yes. We've only had one movie of Robert Pattinson, and he only played Batman.
That's true.
So we haven't really gotten his Bruce Wayne side yet.
Yeah, it felt like there should always be a
both.
Yeah, and that's one thing with Bale that felt decent at least.
Actually, I'm gonna revise that. I'm gonna go Bale at 2 still, and Pattinson at 3. Just because, like I said, we've gotten a fleshed out Bale, too.
That's
who
true.
Did both parts really well.
Yeah, he's a really good actor. Keaton, I think Keaton was the best Bruce Wayne. I don't know if he's the greatest Batman. He was a good Batman.
I think he was a better Batman
than Bruce Wayne.
Than a better Bruce Wayne.
See, I remember someone was like, I hate Christian Bale's Bruce Wayne. I'm like, but his makes sense.
That's why I thought Bale Bruce Wayne was better than Bale Batman.
Bale Batman's voice is so funny.
It kind of bothers me a little bit.
That was one thing about Batfleck I thought was just kind of a simple little touch, was they added the voice modulator. So I'm like, okay, that makes sense. So he doesn't have this stupid Bale voice where he's like, I don't know anything, I swear to God. Christian Bale, swear to me.
I'm not wearing hockey pads.
I'm not wearing hockey pads.
It's like,
that's literally what it's like. He's like, you're garbage that kills for money. The second one, it's so much worse than Batman Begins, because in Batman Begins, it's kind of just down here like this.
And then in The Dark Knight, he just fully embraces it.
Yeah.
It's like, ooh, raspy.
Yeah, because I remember Christopher Nolan's like, it needs to be a little more threatening. And I'm like, okay. Because then it went so much worse. Because in the first one, he's like, it's not who I am. It's what I do that defines me. And in the second one, he's like, where are they? He's like, where are they? I'm not wearing hockey pads. You're garbage that kills for money. It's so much worse. So much worse.
I kind of like the Batman's voice, though. Pattinson.
Yeah, because his is a little more Batman Begins, but better, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Because he's like...
It sounds more natural.
Yeah, he's like, wouldn't want to get blood all over your costume. He's like, mine are yours. Like, very kind of cowboy.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
I will say, though, Pattinson has, what I've seen, he has the chance of moving up to 1. I just need to see more.
It's kind of hard because Keaton only did it in 2 movies.
Yeah.
I watched over break. I know, maybe I didn't. Maybe I watched it after. But I remember I watched Batman 1989. I don't know if it's Batman Returns or... But it was actually Jack Nicholson as the Joker. Pretty good portrayal for the most part.
Second best Joker.
He's pretty good, and I remember reading at the time like this was an iconic role.
He kind of set the precedent for Joker.
Well, even just Batman movies in general.
They're like, if you're gonna do the Joker, you better be just as good or better than Nicholson.
Nicholson's pretty good, and people don't talk about him as much because those movies are kind of, I feel like they're forgettable, even though they're not.
I think it's just because they're old.
Yeah,
Like,
they were 30 years old now.
Yeah.
33 actually.
I think that's kind of the reason, because it's like kind of predates like all the rest of all the other comic book movies.
Yeah, that's fair. Because like I remember I was reading there, like, well, when it came out, it was like, oh, this is a dark depiction of the Batman. I'm like, is it
though?
Yeah, like after watching.
For that time, it was though, because like I said, comic books kind of had like a regulation they had to work around. Like you couldn't depict so much, like a certain amount of violence. The villain had to lose in the end. Different stuff like that. If you look at like the bottom of a comic book, it says like approved by like the Parents Comic Book Association.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And then eventually that got dropped because censorship. But I think it was like a 20-year period to where that was a thing.
Yeah, I want to say it was like 50s, 60s, 70s, maybe.
Yeah,
I could be
or like
wrong.
50s and 60s, and then it kind of got lightened in the 70s.
Yeah, I was thinking like 72. That number sticks out in my mind for some reason.
Here, I'll search it up.
But yeah, I think like Keaton's Batman's pretty great, and his voice isn't too like obnoxious.
No, I actually think he has the best Batman voice.
Yes, because he's like, "Who are you?" He goes, "I'm Batman." And it like, oh, that's not bad.
I like how it gets. He still quotes it. Like he'll always continue. Like he'll just be doing an interview and he's like, "Yeah, I'm Batman." It's like, yes, you are.
It's like, thank you, Michael Keaton. And even like Pattinson, and that's one I like that part right at the beginning. This distinction of he's like, "What are you?" And then he goes, "I'm vengeance," because he's not the Batman at this time.
He's not. Is he called? Yeah, he's called Batman.
In the media, he's called the Batman, but I don't think he identifies.
No, he doesn't
Batman.
Call himself Batman, or like Alfred doesn't call him Batman.
No, I think, and that's one thing throughout the movie in the new Batman is you get to see the journey from being like, I'm a symbol of vengeance, and because I mean the Riddler is kind of twisted in that way too. Like he thinks he's vengeance, so at the end of the movie he becomes hope.
Yeah, he becomes like a symbol for Gotham at the end.
He's the hero they deserve
and need.
Yeah,
because they'd all be drowning if you.
I'm like, damn. I'm like, oh, they're just drowning now. I'm like, when does it ever stop raining there?
And like I said, I kind of like this because it's kind of like in this day and age Batman, like where the Riddler is just an angry Twitch streamer.
He was literally just a out of touch influencer.
Thanks for 500 subscriptions, guys.
He's like, don't forget to like and subscribe. He's like, if you are justice, please do not lie. And then he's like, okay, guys, it's your boy, the Riddler here. He's like, so, where are my Riddler fans at? He's like, 500.
This episode is brought to you by Manscaped.
He's like, wouldn't want to leave out Nordshark VPN. So dumb.
Not to be confused with NordVPN.
Yes, there are two different ones. What's funny is like 80% of the movie, the Riddler makes sense that he's trying to weed out the corruption because Batman's trying to do the same thing.
Yeah, and then he's just like, and now I'm gonna drown everyone.
He's like, De Marie. That part is kind of funny, like unintentionally.
What'd you think of like the Wayne backstory?
It made sense that they were good people, and his dad, in a moment of weakness, screwed up. He said, "Hey, Carmine Falcone,
you want to scare this guy?" And then
Carmine killed him.
And then Carmine's like, "Well, to get dirt on you, I'm just gonna kill him."
Yeah, which to me was kind of unfair because he saved his life. He saved Falcone's life. Which this is actually the second
But hey,
time.
what do you expect from a mob boss?
It's ridiculous. It just...
And what about, like, Martha?
Where's Martha?
Yeah. How about, like, Martha Wayne's backstory of being, like, in Arkham and being in, like, a mental institute and them, like,
Finding
keeping
out.
that quiet?
I think it made sense. I like that they didn't show everything, because we've gotten that now a couple of, on almost every Batman movie shows, like, this is how he becomes the Batman. Blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, it's like, no, it's like, he's the Batman, deal with it. Like, he's been doing this for 2 years. Everyone knows he's an orphan.
Yeah, I'm like, if you don't know the Batman backstory and you're seeing the movie, then
What are you doing?
yeah, I'm like, I don't know what to tell you, man, because
I think
I've seen
everyone knows, like, the Batman backstory. Just like everyone knows the Spider-Man backstory.
Yeah. Like, if, like, gun to your head, they're like, tell a superhero origin story.
Bruce Wayne's an orphan. He gets killed, and his parents get killed. His mom wears the necklace.
The pearl necklace. That was one thing I liked, too, was the duality between the Riddler and the Batman, or Bruce Wayne, even.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they're very similar. They just go about it in very different ways.
It's just, one was rich, and one was a poor orphan.
Speaking of that, do you think the Riddler knows that he's Bruce Wayne? 'Cause
I don't think so.
I've replayed it in my mind. I'm like, the way he says it implies that he does.
I don't think he knows for sure. I think he might, like, he thinks it as, like, a possibility, but I don't think he knows.
That's fair. That's fair. Yeah, I
don't think he knows for sure. I think he might suspect that Bruce Wayne could be a possibility.
I don't think he's sold on it.
I don't think he's sold on it.
Because it's tough, because at the end, he's like, Bruce Wayne.
I think that's just because, well, he wants Bruce Wayne dead. Because...
Right, but it's just, I'm like, it just so happens a coincidence that he's talking to Bruce Wayne.
I think he'll eventually, like, get confirmation that Bruce Wayne's Batman, but I don't think he will yet.
See, I think he knows, because I think he's... Because it worked out for everyone, and who's the one guy that he didn't get? It's Bruce Wayne. So he's like, okay, who's... the Riddler, Edward Nashton, not Edward Nigma.
Well, I think Edward Nashton's just his alter ego. I think his actual name is Edward Enigma.
Well, there was two names, if I remember right, that they found. It was Nashton. I don't remember what the other one was.
Nashton is like an alter ego of Nigma. It's all of Edward Nigma.
Oh, you think he'll become Edward Nigma?
I think he is already Edward Nigma, but uses an Edward Nashton like alter ego.
Fair. That's fair. Like the same way Batman is alter ego is
Bruce Wayne.
Bruce Wayne.
Yeah.
Bruce Wayne.
I think eventually he'll be Edward Nigma.
I think it'll come to that point for sure. One thing I really, really, really liked about this movie, or not even I liked, but I think I talked about this a little bit, but I think this movie emphasizes, like, grunge is back. Like, and I know everyone says, oh, it never left. And I'm like, it's back. It's really back. This movie is like a Nirvana wet dream. I mean, you got Nirvana in the soundtrack, but I'm like, okay, it's always raining. It's always dark. It's about how just everything sucks and is corrupt.
Talking about Gotham or Seattle, where Nirvana's from.
That's what I'm saying. I'm like, this movie is it's a grunge, like, dream. Wet dream. You know? Do you agree with me on that?
I know I agree with what you're saying there.
Because it certainly has, like, I think about, like, some of the grungiest movies I can think of. Like, Blade is pretty grungy. It takes place at night. Like, that's a grungy superhero movie. The Crow. Definitely you can see the Crow's influence on this movie. I'm trying to think. The Matrix, even. Like, think of... Oh, you've seen The Matrix, right?
Yeah.
Think of the end. It's all raining.
I think like the two biggest like ones that influenced it though are what's it called? Frick. Zodiac. Because he kind of takes after the Zodiac killer, does kind of like a lot of similar stuff that's depicted in Zodiac. And then 7.
I was gonna say 7. Yeah, because 7 is the same thing where it's always raining.
It's always dark. Yeah.
And yep, Kevin Spacey at the end wants to get caught, so then all becomes part of his master plan.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's one thing.
Alrighty, now I'm gonna ask you. Now that you've seen the movie, who are 5 characters you want to see?
Introduced?
See introduced.
I'd really like to see a live-action Mr. Freeze. Like, if you can turn the Riddler into a real villain that makes sense,
Yeah.
you could somehow take Mr. Freeze and do it. I think they hinted at Hush, too.
Oh, they I think it's pretty much confirmed that Hush is in the next movie because of like that Easter egg at the end in the end credits.
Yeah.
Like if you do it, it's clearly that they're hinting at Hush.
I wonder, well, I don't know if they announced another movie, did they?
I don't think they've like confirmed it, but it's kind of obvious that like there's gonna be multiple movies.
I tell you, I would pay good money to go and see it on opening night again.
Bro, just make like 6 Reeves Batman movies, so we could see everyone in it.
So Mr. Freeze, Hush. Trying to think that we haven't already seen in live action.
Robin, I want to see Robin at some point.
It's kind of hard because if they were to make a Robin, it would kind of take me out of the mindset that they gave me.
I don't think we should get him like within like the next 2 movies, but eventually we should get Robin.
That's fair.
We haven't gotten a real like Robin. Like we've gotten one Robin and it was in the shitty movies.
Well, there was Joseph Gordon-Levitt at the end was Robin.
Yeah, but we didn't know he was Robin
till the end.
The very end.
They kind of
so we never really got a Robin.
Yeah, that's fair.
It's like I want to see like a current day depiction of Robin.
See, everyone like thinks it's gonna be the orphan kid from the mayor because you remember they like, looked at him and he keeps looking at him.
Yeah, and then he is like a ninja. He's like
he was a red ninja.
Red ninja, and it's like, well, that's Red Hood right there.
Fair.
And like Nightwing or Red Hood would fit so well into this universe at some point, I think.
Something kind of dark and
yeah, like I said, like the ideal plan would be like to get like a full timeline of Pattinson and Reeves, like Batman. Like imagine like 8 like Pattinson Batman movies that take place over like a 50-year period or 40-year period.
That would be really, really cool to see Pattinson like physically age with the character.
Yeah.
Because Pattinson's what? Like he's got to be 30, 40 something.
Yeah.
You know what?
I think he's early 30s. I don't think he's that
That's
old.
what I thought. I thought he was like 32.
Because like in Harry Potter, I think he was like 16.
Really?
He's 18, something like that.
Twilight
Early
was like 20s.
Yeah, it's
Curious now.
86.
So let's do the math. It's 2022 now, so that'd be 4. No, it'd be 6. He's 36, so
36.
I was kind of skeptical when they cast him as.
I wasn't, because I've seen a couple of his other like newer stuff, like when he was like
He redeemed
right around,
himself.
He was cast, and I'm like, okay, he's gonna be good.
I remember reading he's like a natural recluse as well. Like no one really knows too much about him, about his personal life.
No, he's kind of to himself.
Yeah.
He's actually kind of funny. Like, have you seen him in interviews?
Yes, with him and Zoe Kravitz. And oh god, yeah, because he's like I remember him saying he's like I lie in interviews because I don't care. I remember that he's like I don't want anyone was on some Reddit. They were asking him questions, and I don't know if you saw that too, but he was giving some bullshit answers. It was hilarious. They're like, "Well, could you write my son an autograph?" He's like, "No." It was something stupid like I don't know if that was it. I saw it on TikTok one day. It was like, oh, that's kind of funny.
Yeah, I saw another one with him and Kravitz like interviewing, and I remember just laughing throughout the whole time because he just kept just like saying one-liners and shit.
Dude, Zoe Kravitz, like her as the Catwoman. I'm like, oh, she's kind of attractive. And then she was in those interviews. I'm like, I'm down astronomically. I've been on that train for years. I was on that train when she was on High Fidelity, which was a show on Hulu in 2019. Dude, I've been on that. I'm not. I started the bandwagon. I started it.
Alrighty, so who are your other 3 characters you want to see in the Reeves? Like Reeves verse now.
I feel like if you have Arkham, you gotta have Doctor Strange, Dr. Hugo Strange.
Mm-hmm.
Not Dr. Stephen Strange.
Not that one, the other one.
Dr. Hugo Strange, I feel like would be because you have Arkham.
Mm-hmm.
Trying to think who else. Just characters. You said Robin. I'm like, okay, that's 4.
Yeah,
I'll agree on that. I kind of feel like Scarecrow would really fit in, even though he already
would very well fit this.
That's why I'm like, oh, even if they had Cillian Murphy come back.
Especially if you do Dr. Hugo Strange, like you'd have the Arkham stuff already set up.
That's why I'm like, oh, he would make a lot of sense. Cause there's not like there's some supernatural Batman villains, but it wouldn't make sense for them to be in this universe, you know?
Yes, but my first one's kind of a supernatural.
Is it Azrael?
No, it's the Mad Hatter.
Yeah, I guess.
He would fit super well in this because he could just play a serial killer, like kind of like what they did with the Riddler. Like now you could have like another like detective movie where he's like trying to get the Mad Hatter, but it's so hard because just everyone he comes in contact with, he just has them kill themselves.
That's kind of hard though because I don't see magic fitting into
See, no,
this
it's not
version.
really magic. It's kind of like he puts people in trances.
Like a hypnotist?
Yeah, he's a hypnotist.
Okay.
Is what he basically is. And then like, have you ever seen Gotham?
No, I haven't watched.
I was about to say, like Gotham doesn't like embrace the supernatural stuff though, and they made him work pretty well.
Did they?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that's one thing that over the last couple Batman movies, they've definitely made a good effort to make the villains work in like real life.
Yeah.
Like even Bane a little bit, but
So yeah, I'd probably say that Mad Hatter would definitely work, and he could play like a good side villain. He's like a serial killer.
yeah, that's fair. Like in Batman Begins, where it's Ra's al Ghul and Scarecrow, and Scarecrow's just kind of a
He's like a side villain.
yeah, he's not the head honcho.
Yeah. Or like Two-Face in The Dark Knight.
True. Oh, that is such an underrated part of The Dark Knight is Aaron Eckhart's Two-Face.
Who's my second? I'm gonna go Robin. I already kind of talked about that. Red Hood or Nightwing would be a perfect addition to this at some point. Then I'm going with Azrael.
I told you.
I want
knew.
Azrael. He's not supernatural. He's basically the opposite of Batman.
He's a Templar.
It would be a perfect thing because Batman doesn't kill his enemies. Azrael is just like, you know, I'm gonna fucking hack you out with a sword. I'm gonna take you out.
I am kind of interested. It would be an interesting backstory if they were somehow like in the League of Shadows or whatever.
I don't want the League of Shadows because, like, you know, you already know it's like, You already kind of know like Arkham, like the Waynes have ties to the Arkhams and of course the Waynes. Well, basically Azrael's kind of like part of like the second biggest family in, or at one point the largest, like the biggest big name family in Gotham. But like kind of like the Waynes kind of take them out a little bit. Mm-hmm. So they always have grudge, like, so Azrael has like a grudge against the Waynes, but mainly has like a grudge against like crime and corruption. So I think he'd be like another like perfect side character that like Batman has to take him down, because he's kind of like, well, I mean, he's a knight of the Templar who basically will kill like enemies instead of taking them to justice like Batman. So I think it'd be like almost like a perfect like opposite, like they're two opposites, but they kind of want the same thing. But Batman eventually has to take him out because like he's just killing people.
Yeah.
So I think that'd be like a great storyline for this Reeves stuff.
I think they do in the second movie need to have like a good like one-on-one Pattinson versus insert villain fist fight. Because this one was a little more of like a thinker. Mm-hmm. Like, oh, he's
which I love. I love Detective.
Oh, right. Yeah, I think that's one thing they really nail. But I do think it would do the character a lot of justice to see him like outright win.
Yeah. And then who else do I want to see? The Court of Owls.
Yeah, I think they're in there for sure.
They would fit in this universe. Like they're like the perfect fit in this universe. Like the first whole movie was about corruption and like the elites. Mm-hmm. Well, that's the Court of Owls. They're just a bunch of elitists.
Yeah, they're essentially just
who run Gotham.
Yeah, they're like the Illuminati, but for Gotham. Yeah, I do think they were hinted at.
Oh, they were hinted at on one of the cards.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, there's an owl on it, and it's like, well, that's obviously a Court of Owls. It might not be, but it's an owl, so it is. And then, what's my fifth? I gotta agree with you, Hugo Strange.
With Arkham?
Yes.
I think that's interesting that, like, Arkham seems like it's gonna be the Arkham from the comics.
Like the Arkham from the comics, or even like the Arkham from the Arkham games.
Yeah, like, oh, it's gonna house
all Gotham's villains, and might even make some, because Hugo Strange is demented, or not demented. I don't know what that word means. Or like
too big for you. Huh?
Yeah, it's because like he makes a lot of villains, doesn't he? I know he did in Gotham. I haven't really read up on him in comics all that much.
Me neither.
But I think if he's anything like Gotham, he makes a lot of villains.
That would make sense. Well, we're definitely getting the Joker at some point. I don't know if it's in the next movie.
Like I said, I'm not in a rush to see the Joker again.
I think it would be great if they kind of hinted at him. If they're going to make a trilogy, which all good things come in threes.
Yeah.
They should build him up a little bit in the second movie.
Have him be the big bad of the third. But like I said, I want more than 3 of these movies.
I know.
I want spin-offs. I want just a Reeves universe of just spin-offs. Like maybe we could get like a Nightwing. Like
I know there's a Penguin spin-off coming.
Yeah, like I want a Penguin HBO Max show.
That's exactly what they're making.
I want a Catwoman HBO Max show.
Me too.
And eventually I want a Red Hood movie. I want like who knows, like some villain backstories, like maybe like a Hush spin-off afterwards, or I just want all Reeves stuff. I don't care about the DCEU. Let's just do a Reeves Batverse.
I do like what DC has been doing the last couple years. They've definitely gone away from trying to compete with Marvel, and instead they're trying to do their own thing.
They kind of gotten away from just copying what the Marvel.
Copy paste. Yeah. I'm like, they're going, because originally they were trying to go with like, oh, these are like darker Marvel movies. Now I'm like, no, these are just darker movies.
These are just like, yeah, like originally they were like, yeah, we're just gonna make darker Marvel movies. It's like, no, they're just worse. They're just
That's what's great about the Snyder Cut is like the Justice League has definitely a little bit of like that Marvel goofiness, which kind of sucks in a DC movie, and it does away with that.
It's like you can't be dark in comedy.
Yeah, it just doesn't work. Like Marvel, I would say as of late has become like super bright. Not because
No, I think that's about to change.
I think so too. But that's, to me, that's just one of the things, like when you think of a movie, like you think of these bright color, a Marvel movie, you think of like bright colors, just kind of like a fun time, fun watch.
Like, I think at one point I thought I had like a perfect like DCEU layout. Like, of course, you just keep Man of Steel because Man of Steel was good. You keep the original Wonder Woman because that movie is pretty good. Mm-hmm. And then I would do a Flash movie. And then a kind of a big meetup where they introduce Batman. Batman versus Superman doesn't exist.
Yeah.
And then right after that, you have a Batman movie. And then, like, another Batman movie. You have back-to-back Batman movies. And then I'd kind of, like, do another Superman movie. And then, like, you're kind of introducing, like, a big bad in the Justice League. So a second Justice League movie to where they're kind of, like, hinting at a big bad.
Well, that's in the
like
Snyder
maybe like,
Cut. They definitely
Darkseid, like
that's
hinting at Darkseid,
no,
but he's not in the movie.
In Snyder Cut, he's like actually like a part of the movie.
Yeah, and then like you do another Wonder Woman movie, and then you kind of do then like you do like another like a Batman Flash movie, but like have like Cyborg be like a huge part in it because I don't think Cyborg's really a main movie guy.
He wasn't. You just need to watch the Snyder Cut.
Yeah.
You need to watch the Snyder
Yeah, and then I just keep I'd kind of like follow that tone. Like we didn't actually get like a Batman movie in the DCEU, which is weird.
No, you're right.
And then then eventually I'd start getting into the Injustice storyline because
you can do a lot with that. People would pay good money to go see that on the live screen.
Yeah, and then maybe after you defeat Darkseid or something, you kind of hop into Superman, like the Joker from the Batman movies, kind of corrupts Superman, has him kill Lois Lane like he did in the Injustice series, and then you have just 2-3 Injustice movies, 1 year apart for each one, kind of like what they did with Infinity War Endgame.
Yeah.
But it's a 3-part movie.
Fair.
You have Injustice, the first one's Injustice Part 1, Part 2, and then Part 3. And then it leads up to, and then you just keep building the DCEU off of what happened in there. So
and the Peacemaker. I like the Peacemaker.
I do. And yeah, you could have a Suicide Squad spin-off. And then you have spin-offs within that. You could do a lot with DC.
I actually low-key think in the last year, I think DC's been beating Marvel with, okay, you had Suicide Squad. Let's just look at it a year, 1 year today, last March. What came out for Marvel was
Spider-Man.
Well, let's just name it off here. You had, let's look at the shows.
You had Loki.
Loki was out. Falcon. WandaVision. And I would say 2 out of 3 of those are okay, not great. Loki's pretty good. I like Loki.
I still think it's a Marvel dub just because of Spider-Man. Spider-Man beats everything DC.
I don't know. See, Spider-Man is this big kind of bombastic movie that's oh my goodness, we're getting this, and this. Whereas the Batman is this is a small portion. But it's kind of hard because I'm it's not an ostentatious movie by any means.
I think DC is starting to match Marvel. I wouldn't say beat Marvel because they still have a long ways to go before I can say they're beating Marvel now.
I think the Spider-Man movie
but they're starting
good.
They're starting to match Marvel.
I think it was really good, but I like the Batman. Here's the thing: I like the Batman better, but I think Spider-Man's a better movie. But I like the Batman much better.
I like Spider-Man more. I'm the opposite. I like Spider-Man more, but I think the Batman's a better movie. But I mean, let's be honest. Doctor Strange is coming out in that movie might actually be completely mental.
You know what movie everyone is skipping, essentially, for Marvel? Morbius. No one gives a rat's ass about it.
We don't care about the Sonyverse.
I don't care.
They don't put out good movies.
I did like the first Venom. I will admit, the first Venom was good.
For me, was just mid.
The second Venom was
bad. I thought it was bad. And it's like, ooh, we're getting Morbius. It's like, ooh, we're getting a vampire. You know what vampire movie I'm looking forward to?
Twilight.
No, Blade.
Yeah, I was gonna go back and watch the original Blades. I've never seen.
Speaking of that, I watched the original Blade the other day.
Are they good?
I thought it was pretty good. I saw the first one.
First one?
For the first time I watched it. And I thought it was good.
Okay, alright.
I'm kind of hyped for the new Blade. It's like Mahershala Ali, isn't it?
He's a great actor. Outstanding.
So it's going to be good.
It has to be good.
And then, like, he was hinted at in Eternals.
Yeah, it was his voice, weirdly, on the Ebony Blade.
Yeah, which kind of makes sense because, like, Blade's a swordsman. What's up with swords lately in Marvel? Like, in Hawkeye, you had the Blade dude, I forget his name. Swordsman, I think, is his actual name. I can't remember.
Yeah, it was her stepdad.
Or, like, Blademan, or, like, Swordman. I can't remember his name.
I think it was Swordmaster.
But, like, kind of like his villain. He's not villain. I like his character in, like, the comics.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, and then in Eternals, you had Dark Knight.
The Black Knight.
Black
Knight.
Yeah, Black Knight with the ebony blade.
Yep.
And then, yeah. And then in Hawkeye, you had the whole story around, like, the retractable blade.
Yeah.
And
well,
then, of course, Swordsman.
I think it's kind of a debate right now because DC's last couple things that they've thrown out have been pretty quality over quantity. Quantity has a quality all of its own.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I'm like, oh, the Batman was a really, really, really good movie that anyone could watch and enjoy. And I feel like if you really wanted to enjoy Spider-Man,
It's like, I feel like Marvel has kind of dipped on some stuff in the last year.
The Eternals was
quality-wise, like, the Eternals was okay, but, like, it was...
It's better the second time I watched it than the first time.
And it's like, Falcon and Winter Soldier was good, but...
It was okay.
Loki was... I really liked Loki.
I really liked Loki, too.
Hawkeye,
WandaVision.
I really liked. WandaVision,
The first 5 episodes are really good of WandaVision. After that, I think it kind of takes a turn for the worst.
Kind of dips a little bit.
Yep, I'm with you.
Spider-Man's really good.
Spider-Man's really good, but like I said, here's the difference.
Like Black Widow, kind of mid.
I didn't mind it.
I hate... There's one reason I hated it.
Why?
Taskmaster.
Yeah.
I can't tell you how much that pissed
They tried to make it too real.
It's like, no. You just took one of, like, my favorite villains in Marvel and then made him crap.
The only thing with Spider-Man that I think really sets, and this is, I talked about it, is like you have to watch all the other Spider-Man movies to really get all of it.
Yeah, you do, but I don't think you have to either.
Yeah, but you could watch the Batman.
Like, you could watch it and know what's happening.
But you could watch the Batman, have never ever seen a Batman, never read a Batman comic, and be like, this is a great movie.
Yeah.
Whereas, like, the Spider-Man movies, like, you kind of have to go back, or not even go back and watch them, but you do have to kind of have
You have to kind of know what's going on.
And I guess that's, I mean, who hasn't seen the Spider-Man movies?
And I mean, that makes sense, because it's like Batman, a very grounded movie, to where
Spider-Man
MCU as a general is so huge. So big now.
Right now, yeah, like, the world is
But it's like,
entirely open.
I will say, though, but, like, Marvel over the next 2 years has a chance to kind of, like, break that spell they've been on of just, like, it's good, but not great. Like, you got Spider-Man, and then your next movie is Doctor Strange.
I feel like we're kind of back in the 2013, 2014 era of Marvel, where they were coming off the Avengers. And
yeah,
they kinda,
now it's like they're kind of post-Endgame, so now they got to introduce a lot more now because, well, people aren't. We're kind of right now, we're kind of in, like, the stage 1 phase still, like, as Marvel, like, where the movies are good.
They're setting up a lot.
Setting up stuff.
I guess I always forget the Hawkeye show was a thing, because I
really enjoyed that.
I liked it. it was called Hawkeye, but it should have been called Kate Bishop to me,
Kate
or
Bishop's
something.
Hawkeye.
I know, but they called it Hawkeye, and there actually wasn't too much Hawkeye in the actual show.
I disagree. I thought Hawkeye was a perfect name for it because it's both of them.
Perhaps.
And that's a name for both of them. Like, Hawkeye is never, like, if you look, like, Clint's not really ever called Hawkeye in
That's fair.
the MCU. So it's like, I think Kate's going to embrace the Hawkeye name more than Clint.
Maybe. I just think that, to me, like, DC is always just, you don't have to really have known too much to enjoy them.
Yeah.
Like the Peacemaker, I'm like, oh, you should probably watch Suicide Squad.
But that's all.
That's it. I'm like, Spider-Man, you gotta go back and watch the Maguire movies. I've never seen the Andrew Garfield ones either. I know a little.
I've seen them. They're not that good.
They're mid.
They're not mid. They're 2 is worse than mid. 1 is solid, but 2 sucks.
I'm just saying that, like, MCU kind of taking a natural step back because it's kind of like, how do you outdo Endgame?
Because it's like you can't outdo Endgame. Well, it might have. No, just the newest Spider-Man movie.
I think that hit Disney Plus today too.
Does it?
I remember.
I don't know if it's going to Disney Plus because Sony owns Sony's still in
I
Spider-Man.
kind of remember reading it was coming on March 22nd.
Did you see what is for sure on Disney Plus right now?
No.
Daredevil.
Oh
Punisher,
yeah, Punisher, Luke Cage. I
Still not gonna watch Luke Cage. Still not gonna watch what's the other one?
Jessica Jones.
Jessica Jones, not gonna watch that either.
I remember
Not watching Iron Fist.
one of my friends had like a really hot take that like the first season of Jessica Jones is like a top 10 Marvel product.
Huh.
I've never seen it.
I'm still not watching it because I don't think there's any way they bring any of those 3 back. Maybe
They just have it to have it.
Daredevil is coming back.
He's already back.
I think the Punisher will be brought back. And then I think
he does not want to be in a PG-13 Punisher.
Yeah, that's the thing. I think Marvel's gonna start putting out some adult stuff. If you look now at Disney Plus, you now have the option for adult stuff, and we're getting a Deadpool movie. I don't think that's gonna be PG-13.
No, if there's one thing Disney is willing to I'll try it again. There's one thing Disney would be willing to overlook the R rating for, it's money. And they know a PG-13 Deadpool movie is not going to sell the way an R-rated one would.
It's like, so you're going to get a rated R Deadpool. I imagine Logan's going to hit Disney Plus at some point. So that's going to be another rated R thing. But it's like, you're doing a Blade movie. Like, I guess that could be PG-13.
I wouldn't mind if that. I wouldn't be too distraught if it was PG-13.
But like, it would be. You could also do that rated R. It's like, you got the ability now to probably put out some rated R stuff.
I think they see what DC's doing right now, and they're trying to
They're like,
counteract.
if DC is going to be putting out some of this rated R stuff, I think we might have to start doing it just so we can compete with the adult audience. Because like, I get it, they're trying to appease to like children too in Marvel, make it so like kids can watch it too. Well, you can do both. You don't have to make everything child friendly.
Yeah.
Like, kids don't have to see every part of your universe.
That's one thing that I always like say, like, forget with Star Wars, like, oh, it's made for kids.
It's like, everyone's like, I want to see a rated R Star Wars movie. It's like, well, 1, I don't.
I'm like, no.
And 2, it's made for kids. Like, it's not made for adults. It's made for kids.
But that's one thing that DC just does better. I'm like, it feels a little more realistic. I'm like, the Suicide Squad it's pretty gory, but it's good. I'm like, the Peacemaker is, like, that's just his character is this bloody, like, he's the DC version of the Punisher, essentially.
Basically. And it's like, I don't think, like, if you're going to do a Punisher movie or series, you gotta embrace the rated R.
Yeah.
I think. Because, like, you can't really depict a guy killing everyone in a
PG-13 movie.
So I think Marvel's gonna start embracing some dark undertones now a little bit. Not for everything, of course, because of course they're gonna want to make a lot of movies child friendly, want to make it for everyone. But you're gonna have to embrace it a little bit.
Yeah, if you want to stay. I shouldn't say DC's beating them, but DC's definitely
gaining some ground.
They've made in the last year. In my eyes, in my opinion, they definitely.
Like I said, they still. I think they still have a pretty big ways to go because still it's only like they put out 3 pretty good projects, but Marvel's put out 20 pretty good projects.
They're definitely taking a step in the right direction.
Yeah.
Is the way I would put
and they're gaining a little bit of ground on Marvel.
Yeah, because Marvel's, like I said, the new Spider-Man's good, but you definitely have to have like prerequisite movies to watch.
Which makes sense, like I said, because it's a giant it's a giant cinematic universe. To where like the Snyder Cut was really one movie.
You do need to watch it though. It is completely different.
It's like Peacemaker, pretty grounded. You have to watch one movie to kind of understand what's happening.
Yeah, it's not like the movie's a slog either.
Batman is its own thing.
Yeah, you don't have to watch anything to really just enjoy Batman.
Yeah. So for like their DCEU, they've really only put out like one good title. Because like Batman's not part of the DCEU and the Snyder Cut's not.
No, I guess it'd be Wonder Woman.
Yeah. Wonder Woman I like Wonder Woman, Shazam, Man of Steel.
I've never seen Shazam.
Watch Shazam. It's my favorite DC movie.
Really?
Yes. It's like the DCU still has some things to make.
I kind of like Aquaman actually.
I don't. I
like Aquaman.
I think it's too
colorful.
Not colorful. Like you almost get sick watching it.
Really? See, I really like
the underwater
Aquaman.
scenes. Oh, I hate them.
I like the. Yeah, I'll contend with anyone. I think Aquaman is a great movie.
But yeah, Shazam. Watch it.
All right.
My favorite DC movie. It's really good.
All right, I'll keep it in mind. I think we're running pretty long in the tooth here.
You want to do the outro?
No, you do it. I did the intro.
Oh yeah. So yeah, you've been listening to the Prestin Sexton podcast. Make sure to give us a follow on Spotify. Subscribe to us on YouTube. Give the video a like. Give us a 5-star rating on Spotify. And yeah, just give all our socials a follow. We're pretty active on Facebook. Trying to get into TikTok, but just haven't been uploading.
We're busy college students.
Yeah, kind of busy, and I don't like putting TikToks out. So maybe Gabe will put another one out, but but yeah, just like I said, share this with your friends. Give us a follow our socials, and yeah, this is the Prestin Sexton podcast.